Hey guys, how you doing out there? This is Iota again with another episode. The name of this video will be called "Wrestling with God." Um, this is about when I say wrestling with God, I mean trying to understand God more and wrestling with life until you find the answer, so that you will find uh, blessings. Right. So this is basically an analogy of talking about like working on our own salvation. So this picture I'm actually using to tell a story that is actually told in Genesis chapter 32, and it begins with verse 24. And the story is about a man. I'll just paraphrase and I'll just tell you the story instead of just reading it, but that's where you can find the story. So Jacob is a man. He is the son of Isaac. Isaac is the son of Abraham, the father of all nations that God blesses, all of his seed. Um, Jacob is a man that was just minding his own business. He was just walking around in the wilderness, and in the midst of this, he sees an angel, and he took it upon himself to go to the angel and grab a hold of him. Okay, now you're asking yourself, well, what made him do this? Well, because people knew that when they seen angels, it's nothing but blessings that can come from angels, and he really desperately wanted a blessing. So he grabs the angel. The angel's trying to break free of him, and he gets so serious with the angel, and the angel ends up dislocating his hip. And then the angel tells Jacob, "Let me go, because we've been wrestling since daybreak." And then Jacob tells him, "I'm not going to let you go until you bless me." And so then the angel knew that he was really serious, right? And then the angel tells him, "Okay, well, what's your name?" And then he tells him his name is Jacob. And then the angel says, "Okay, well, from this day on, your name will be Israel, because you have prevailed with man and with God." Prevail means to overcome. Then Jacob, after being blessed by the angel with the new name, Jacob then asks the angel, "Well, what is your name?" And then the angel says, "Why do you want to know my name?" Eventually, they ended up departing, right? And then Jacob names the place after a name, which means being face to face with God, right? Now, the whole point about this, the whole purpose of this video, what I'm making this is about wrestling with God, is because life is like that. You really ain't got no choice but to wrestle with demons and your own problems, right? Whether you believe in the Bible or not, it's kind of like I feel like this is the perfect expression of finding salvation. Is because through Christ we can be world champion of wrestling, right? I mean, working out our problems with wrestling with God, right? Which means it's like if you get a hold of something, if you get a hold of someone and you're wrestling out with them, it's just a symbolic way of saying like trying to work things out with God, trying to figure out what seems to be confusing, right? The intricacy of wrestling itself and trying to untangle all these things and trying to find the actual answer and clarity is wrestling is just symbolic to understanding. And so the reason why you might have people to come to you and give you hell is because they have Jacob's mentality. They're coming to you because they see you as the answer, and like an angel, a helper, right? That they see that has the anointing, because everybody is anointed when they come out of the womb because God blessed you, right? They're looking for you to help them. And with some people, if they feel like they're not getting the help from you, they're like this and they're shaking you up like, no, I'm not going to let you go until you bless me. Just like how Jacob spoke to the angel. And a lot of people are holding back their love for people because they're hardened in their hearts. Like Jesus says, unharden your hearts, right? Be more tender hearted, because there can be people who have problems with addiction, right? It can be fears, it can be psychological, mental thoughts that they're trying to battle because they either lost a loved one, or they might have family that has problems and they're overwhelmed with all of these demonic things that are attacking them. And they might need your help, but when you're not giving them that love, they might put you in the Kurt Angle, ankle lock and put a wrestling move on you and choke you out until you actually do it. Now, this is just a metaphorical way of saying, like, they might give you hell and torment you verbally, um, because you're not really helping them, because they're crying out for somebody to help them, and people are looking at them like, well, they're just like crazy people, but that's not the case. I think that a lot of people are actually trying to wrestle with life until they get the upper hand, right? They're tired of being pinned down by life, and then it's the count of three, and then they're tired of losing. So you get to a point where you're like, okay, you want to grab the angel, you want to grab God and ask him questions like, what's going on with my life? Why is my life going like this? Why do I feel so alone? Right? I feel like if you keep wrestling with the answer and you keep trying to search for it, and you have a passion for wrestling and understanding, wrestling just means understanding, right? And you have a passion and you love the sport of wrestling with God, you will always have the truth, because you're trying to understand and be one-on-one intimate with God by him grabbing a hold of you and you grabbing a hold of him, and you're face to face like this, and you're just asking questions, getting to know one another, right? Because he wants that. He wants you to understand who he is, right? And also not just with himself, but your brothers and sisters, your wife and your husband and your brother. I mean, your mom and your dad, right? And all your friends. Um, he wants you to try to know everybody, even people that you work with, even people, from your job or school. Like, Christ was a people person. So as much as dealing with people were really difficult for him to do, because people had sin and they would lash out on him, and then they had sins that they were dealing with, right? But never beat yourself up for, I don't know, not being perfect, mistakes that you have made, because like I said before in the other video, you don't have the right to put yourself in that judgment seat. If Jesus says that I don't have the right to judge you, only one judges you, then if he being perfect said that, how can you think that you can judge yourself or someone else? So just try to work out your own salvation. Keep wrestling with your demons and overcoming them, and wrestle with your angels, and wrestle with God, and wrestle with the devil. Because, like I said, wrestling is understanding. If you don't understand your demons and the devil, then you don't understand the possible solution and what's the remedy to that, right? But then you're also supposed to, just like if you have an illness and you're taking a medicine, you're going to read the side effects of it. But with God, that's the one medicine that you need that has no side effects, but nothing but good, right? So if you took a chance with other things to heal you, right? Why not choose God, right? Um, which is what they say is the circumcision without hands, right? To circumcise your heart means to uh, clean up your heart, right? It means to purify your hearts with love, right? And so that's my message to everybody. Um, the circumcision was also symbolic to clipping out the extra flesh, right? So flesh is like synonymous with sin because flesh has sin in it, which is why Jesus crucified Satan on a cross, right? When he was crucified on the cross, he was crucifying the sin that was in himself, right? Because it was God that delivered him to the cross. He rose from the dead so that we would be made in the fullness and raised in the spiritual form. If we have faith in the spirit, we'll live by him in the spirit. Because the idea is that if he died for us, we shall at least live for him. That's a fair exchange, right? So this is the same thing with like, you know, wrestling and trying to understand life. Grabbing life by the horns, right? Grabbing the bull by the horns, or if it's something that's really trying to, I don't know, torment you, you grab the devil by the horns and you show him who's boss, right? Because you have God in you. Remember, it was the demons that ran from Jesus and said, Jesus, spare us. And then the demons went into the pigs, right? So if you have Christ in you, you're not to fear evil, because it tells you in 1 John 4 that perfect love casts out fear, because fear has torment. Whosoever lives in fear cannot be made perfect in love, and we know that love is God, right? So keep wrestling with life and your problems. That's the only way you're going to really work it out. You have to get a hold of it, and you make your problems tap out from you by handling your business, saying, oh, I'm about to go handle this. Yeah, I might not feel like doing this today, but you know what? I'm going to go knock it out, right? Because even though it's hard, if you keep laying down a brick, eventually, before you know it, you'll get a brick wall, okay? But you have to keep just going out there. Hey, look, Hulk Hogan doesn't have anything on you, right? Andre the Giant has nothing on God, right? If God is in you and you're wrestling with, that's the real giant. God is the biggest giant you're ever going to see. So to try to understand him, right? You're going to bulk up and you're going to yoke up from that. Okay. Um, But love and light to y'all, man. Have a good night, and I'll see you in the next video about the brass serpent held up in the wilderness by Moses, and the connections between that event and how it ties to Jesus Christ being lifted up as the Son of Man. All right, love and light. Have a good night, and hope all is well. In Jesus Christ's name, God bless you and your families, and good health, love, and wellness. Peace.